In the sprawling city of Tyetopolis, a raven named Corvus lived a life of rare contentment. Known for his extraordinary intelligence, Corvus navigated the world with a wisdom that surpassed most creatures. His life was simple yet fulfilling, and he cherished the company of his beloved family, his devoted wife, Nyx, and their bright and inquisitive son, Orion. Nyx, with her gentle grace and sharp intellect, complemented Corvus perfectly, while Orion, though still young, exhibited a remarkable curiosity and intelligence. Together they formed a close-knit family, whose love and harmony were evident in every interaction. Their tranquil existence was shattered when researchers from a nearby lab, intrigued by the raven's unusual intelligence, captured Corvus, Nyx and Orion. They were taken from their natural home and placed into a lab for experimentation. From the moment they were caged, the ravens faced severe mistreatment. The researchers starved them, teasing them with food just out of reach, and poked them with sharp instruments, taking pleasure in their distress. The cruelty they endured was relentless, and the once harmonious family now suffered greatly. Corvus, despite the harrowing conditions, remained steadfast in his resolve to protect his family. Each day was a battle against despair, but he clung to the hope of a chance to escape and reclaim their freedom. His mind, though trapped in a cage, remained sharp and alert, constantly seeking an opportunity to outwit their tormentors. He watched over Nyx and Orion with a protective vigilance, his love for them a beacon of strength amidst the darkness of their captivity. The cruelty they faced was unrelenting, but Corvus's determination to find a way out never wavered. He knew that the bonds of family were the strongest force he could rely on, even as their once happy lives were consumed by the harsh reality of their confinement. One day, the researchers subjected the ravens to a dangerous experiment involving a brainwave-enhancing machine. This device, designed to amplify cognitive functions, was aimed at Corvus, Nyx and Orion. The intention was to increase their intelligence, but the machine's effects proved to be more drastic than anticipated. Instead of enhancing their minds in a controlled manner, the machine unleashed a violent surge of energy. The experiment had fatal consequences for Nyx and Orion. The intense energy emitted by the machine overwhelmed their bodies. Nyx and Orion, despite their intelligence, could not withstand the machine's force. Their deaths were a heart-wrenching blow to Corvus, a profound tragedy that left him engulfed in deep grief and rage. The loves of his life, his wife and son, were now gone. While the researchers were still distracted by alarms, warnings and smoke from malfunctioning equipment, Corvus's mind began to illuminate with an extraordinary power. He discovered that he could manipulate objects around him with mere thought. In a burst of grief and rage, the lock on his cage shattered with a sudden burst, and the door flung open. With his newfound abilities, Corvus unleashed his fury upon the researchers who had tormented him and his family. The researchers, caught off guard by the sight of Corvus's wrath, froze in fear. Some tried to flee, but their efforts were in vain. The lab, once a place of sterile precision, was transformed into a battlefield. Equipment exploded, walls crumbled, and the once bustling facility was reduced to a chaotic mess of debris and lifeless bodies. The researchers who had inflicted so much pain were obliterated in a wave of retribution. Corvus's wrath was total and uncompromising. After dismantling the lab, Corvus took the bodies of Nyx and Orion and returned to the park to bury them. The park, once a place of solace, now became a somber resting place for his beloved family. As he laid them to rest, he witnessed further cruelty. People kicking dogs, spanking animals, throwing rocks at squirrels and other vicious acts. Consumed by a profound sense of injustice, Corvus unleashed his wrath upon those who mistreated the creatures in the park. The park benches flew through the air as he turned his rage on the perpetrators, rectifying the wrongs he saw before him. With the park now a scene of vengeance and retribution, Corvus took to the skies, soaring over the city. Tyetopolis, once a beacon of life, was now a dark and desolate place. The city's streets and alleys were marred by the same injustices Corvus had witnessed in the park: cruelty and neglect towards both animals and humans. He saw people kicking cats, spanking dogs, throwing rocks, poisoning rats and mice, and engaging in other forms of cruelty. The sight filled him with a profound sense of despair and rage. And with the mere blink of an eye, the entire city was laid to waste, reduced to nothing more than smouldering ruins. Among the rubble, two small graves stood as the only untouched symbols of what once was, a poignant reminder of Corvus's lost family and the profound sorrow that had driven his actions. A few days later, the devastation left by Corvus's rampage was still fresh in the minds of those who had witnessed the destruction. Investigators, drawn by the scale of the catastrophe, arrived at the site with a mix of awe and trepidation. As they meticulously combed through the rubble, they uncovered a series of intriguing video recordings. The footage, captured by surveillance cameras in the laboratory, revealed the extent of the chaos and the terrifying power wielded by the Raven. The images painted a vivid picture of Corvus's wrath: walls crumbling, equipment exploding, and the once bustling city reduced to ashes. The gravity of the situation prompted an immediate response from the military. Special forces were called in to search for Corvus. Their task now focused on tracking down the elusive and formidable creature. Unbeknownst to Corvus, a tracker had been discreetly planted on his body when he had first arrived at the lab. This small device, a remnant of the researchers' attempt to control him, would now become a critical tool in locating the rogue Raven. As the military deployed their resources to find him, Corvus remained acutely aware of the heightened danger. His newfound abilities had not only enhanced his cognitive powers, but also allowed him to sense the thoughts and intentions of those around him. The Raven's mind, now a beacon of heightened awareness, detected the presence of his pursuers. He could feel their desperation and determination to recapture him and bring him back to a life of imprisonment. In a display of extraordinary skill and control, Corvus used his mental powers to locate and disable the tracker that had been embedded on him. With a mere thought, he disintegrated the device, erasing any trace of his location. As the military's search efforts intensified, their attempts to neutralize Corvus grew more aggressive. Missiles were launched from artillery positions, their trajectories aimed at the last known coordinates of the Raven. But Corvus, fully aware of the impending danger, was prepared. His mind, now a formidable force, redirected the missiles with ease. The projectiles, guided by his will, veered off course and hurtled back toward their origin. The tanks that had fired the missiles erupted in a series of thunderous explosions, their fiery blazes lighting up the sky and casting long shadows over the battlefield. The spectacle of destruction was both a testament to Corvus's newfound power and a warning of the fierce resolve he possessed. As the smoke and debris from the explosions began to settle, the military, stunned by the sudden turn of events, struggled to regain control. Corvus, with his wings spread wide and his heart pounding with the adrenaline of conflict, took to the skies. He soared above the chaos, his form a dark silhouette against the smouldering landscape. The Raven left behind a scene of devastation, his departure marked by the fires and wreckage that had once been a symbol of his anger and retribution. With the city now a smoking ruin beneath him, Corvus flew into the night, a lone figure escaping the clutches of those who sought to recapture him, leaving behind a trail of destruction and a haunting legacy that would forever be etched into the annals of Tyetopolis' history. Corvus is still out there somewhere, watching from the shadows. Let his story be a reminder: always treat animals with kindness and respect, because you never know how powerful they might truly be. Corvus will destroy anyone that doesn't like this video and subscribe to this channel. You have been warned. Until next time.